So we are going to be working, Janine Guerra is here with us today, and Janine and I are going to be working kind of in concert so that we can provide you with steps to mint an NFT, but then also allow you to see the actual process. So we got up to the point where we said, okay, now how do we create an NFT? So in these PowerPoint slides, which I had said last week, and I'll repeat it, that I'm going to share with Angela after we finish tonight, it is a guided tutorial that is specifically geared towards setting up a Coinbase wallet and doing this from Chrome. The browser that you use actually matters a lot more than you can imagine. So I did this on a Chrome basis because that, we happen to use the Google Suite. So before you can mint an NFT, you actually have to set up a wallet, because the minting process actually engages us with our wallet so that it can, that's basically how it assigns that it's you. So we're going to go to this link, coinbase.com wallet, and then we're going to go through these steps. We're going to download the wallet. We're going to add it to Chrome. We're going to add the extension, create a new wallet. We're going to pick a username. We're going to save our 12-word recovery phrase. And then we're going to do the submission of recovery phrase words, create our PIN or create our password, and then we're going to pin the extension. And before we do anything, I want to make abundantly clear this visual. I understand that if I lose my recovery phrase, I'll lose all of the crypto in my wallet. They are not kidding. So whenever you get a 12-word recovery phrase, you want to make sure to save it someplace safe. So it's often good to save it a couple places just in case. So Janine is going to go ahead and I will talk through the process while Janine completes the process. So she's going to coinbase.com/wallet. Now, when she gets there, you can see that there's the option down at the bottom, download Coinbase Wallet. So that's the first thing that you want to do. Now, over in the top right, it says add to Chrome. So she's going to click add to Chrome. And then here, adding the Coinbase Wallet extension, she is going to go ahead again and say add extension. The extension helps the wallet to function properly in the browser. So now that she's added the extension, she's going to come down here to Coinbase Wallet. And this is if she is new to this, right? If you have an existing wallet, you can certainly import it, but we're going to go with create new wallet right now. So she's going to pick a username. And for the artists, I don't know if any of the artists are here with us today, but for the artists, the usernames are going to be selected for them and all of the credentials are going to be turned over to them. That's how they're going to maintain the ownership, is they receive all of that information. So she creates her username and then she's going to say submit. And this is her 12-word backup phrase. It's the recovery phrase. So she's going to click, I understand that if I lose my recovery phrase, I'll lose all of the crypto in my wallet first. Go ahead and click that, Janine. Okay, and now she copied the phrase to the clipboard. Now, Janine is going to be very responsible. She's going to open a Word document or a Notepad document, and she's going to paste her phrase. Notice also that it's not visible. She'll be able to go back and make it visible. So there. So it's very sensitive. Click it one more time. So you can see it's just a random collection of words that she's going to save somewhere else. Now, if you create NFTs using this wallet and you lose this recovery phrase, you will lose those NFTs. So Janine, did you save it, the recovery phrase, to a document?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so she can continue now. Now it says, verify that you saved your seed phrase by clicking on the first and last words. So she's going to click the first word first and then the last word. And you'll see that what happens when she clicks is it says, okay, first word is flat, last word is setup. So go ahead and submit that now. Now she can create a password. Now, the password actually gives you the ability to get in and out of your wallet without your recovery phrase. But if you forget your password or lose track of it or anything like that, you will need your recovery phrase in order to get back into your account. So she's going to agree to the terms, and now she's going to go ahead and submit. So now her wallet is ready. So she is going to, before going much further, she's going to pin the Coinbase Wallet extension as she's just showing right now. And when she goes to pin it, notice that little puzzle piece up at the top is what she clicked on, and then she could go ahead and pin the wallet. Okay.
And Ginny, I wanted to add too, I happen to be on an Apple device, so it may look slightly different on a Windows device or a Chromebook, but pretty
so
close.
Far, it's all the same. Because I've done it on Windows a number of times. Okay, so this is the point at which Janine should have an image ready that she wants to use to mint her NFT. And when she starts moving, so she's going to open a new tab, and she is going to go to OpenC.io. Now, so she had to create the wallet to be able to get to OpenC. Now she's going to go over to that little icon that is the, well, she can actually click create right there in the middle of the screen. She could go up to the top as well. And she's going to tell it that she's using a Coinbase wallet. And she's going to connect to her Coinbase wallet. She's going to sign this agreement that says, here's the terms of service for OpenC, and you're welcome to read that in detail, but she's going to go ahead and sign it. Okay, so now she's able to create a new item, and you'll see what happened here is because she opened her Coinbase wallet or created her Coinbase wallet in another tab, the browser has actually maintained that information. Normally, you would have to go in and open your wallet and then open OpenC so that you get that connection. So that's what she's done. Now we're going to look at, there's a few images that she can use in here, but the first one is this NFT image. So Janine, do you have an NFT image that you want to put in here?
Yes, I do.
So she's very loyal. So we're using an SJU logo, and she's going to name her NFT. All right. So notice first of all that the logo is not, there's parts of it that are cut off here. Your image really needs to be, so you can look up, it says, first of all, it supports JPEG, PNG, GIF, SVG, MP4, WebM, MP3, WAVE, OGG, GLB, GLTF, and the maximum size is 100 megabytes. Please note that if it's not one of these extensions on your file, you are not going to be able to create an NFT for it. So for example, if you wanted to NFT a document of any kind, you would not be able to do that. All right, so now external link. This is optional, but if you have a personal web page that you want to use, you can link this NFT to your personal web page. So that's the external link piece there. And then the description, Janine is just going to provide a description of it. And all of this, by the way, is editable. But when you edit, as is the case with the blockchain, it's just going to create a newer copy of it, and the old one is going to exist out there in cyberspace. Now, the next thing says, what collection do you want it to appear in? Now, if you don't already have a collection, so if Janine clicks on that, she has no results. The little information icon next to, there she goes. It says moving items to different collections may take up to 30 minutes. Manage your collections here. So you're going to click on managing your collections. So now she's going to create a collection. Now this is where she needs more images. And I'm guessing that Janine is just going to use the same image multiple times. No, she's got, okay. So there is a logo image for your collection. There is a featured image and there is a banner image. And as soon as we're finished here, you'll see how they all figure in. So Janine, also note this image, the logo, 350 by 350 is the recommended size for pixels. The featured image, 600 by 400, and the banner image, 1400 by 400. Okay, and very important thing to note, if you take a photo with your phone and you turn your phone upside down to take the photo, you're going to look at it right side up when you bring it into a browser. But NFT creation, they always use the metadata associated with the camera orientation. So if you're going to use an image, you have to take that image in the same perspective that you want it to be shown here. Because and it took me a while to sort that out, but I had added an image, and the image, when I dropped it, it came out in the appropriate orientation. And when I saved it, it turned the image sideways. So you always have to be careful that your images are the correct orientation, or if you're very good with tools like Photoshop, you can actually change the metadata to change the orientation of the image. So Janine, go ahead and drop in. So for our logo,
I have to remember where I saved them.
okay, there's, yeah. So you can drag and drop in there, or you can do as Janine is, where you're going ahead and selecting them from a file menu from browsers. And what she's putting in is the images for our analytics and data visualization, high school analytics and data visualization competition. So it's a lovely collection so far. So now she's going to name her collection. It should be, you know, kind of an interesting name that you feel is representative of what you're planning to place in the collection. And then the URL below that, notice that before she named her collection, the sample name in there was Treasures of the Sea. Well, now she's named her collection NiFTY Tutorial February 3rd. So she needs to go in and edit this URL so that instead of saying Treasures of the Sea, it can say NiFTY Tutorial February 3rd. And I highly recommend, just as Janine is doing, that you put dashes in instead of spaces. Now, when you started with your image before, it was a, you had a description for that image, but now we need a description for your collection. Okay, and as we scroll down, she can add a category. Now, the category in our particular case right now is not all that meaningful, but the categories are actually very meaningful if, for example, you're NFTing art or music or photography, sports. Okay, so Janine she doesn't have to pick a category, but she's going to pick art. Now, the links below here are links to various sites. So, for example, the first one is just your site, right? It's just saying, hey, if I have a site at which I sell my NFTs. The next is a Discord site. Then we have Instagram, Medium, and the last one, t.me. Again, you don't have to put any of those in, but you can. Moving down, creator earnings. Now, as our students are going to do this in the initial stage, they're not going to put anything in there in the percentage fee. But here's what's important to understand is that when you are putting in these are royalties, right? So every time your item resells, you get royalties. So let's say that you create a lovely piece of art and the piece of art increases in value. And every time somebody sells that piece of art to someone else, you as the originator end up getting whatever fee you put in here. Now, understanding, of course, that in a gallery type setting, if you're placing your art in a gallery, you're going to have gallery type fees. But if you're not, if you're just trying to launch yourself independently, these are the fees that you need to set for yourself to say, look, when my artwork sells, this is what I feel I should be making on it. So they put an example in of 2.5%, but that's totally up to you to make that determination. Next is selection of the blockchain. Now, if Janine, if you would just click on the down, the arrow down on the right-hand side, Polygon is actually within Ethereum. So Polygon is not a different blockchain than Ethereum. It is a subset of Ethereum, but it's a gas-free blockchain that works with Ethereum. So we can go either way. We can put it on Polygon or Ethereum. We'll leave it on Ethereum. And it says these tokens can be used to buy and sell your items. So Ethereum limits you to using, and these are two Ethereum-based cryptocurrency, the ETH and the WETH, which kind of has that east-west thing. So I don't know if they did that intentionally, but I find that funny. You can add other tokens. So if you click again, Janine, on the right-hand side, you can add other tokens. So you can add any other token that works with Ethereum. So these are the cryptocurrencies that Ethereum is accepting at this moment in time. And there's a lot of them. So we can leave it at, we just accept ETH, or we can add to it. So Janine, see if Bitcoin, find Bitcoin in there. So, the most popular ones are at the top, and then they go alphabetical. No, so see, Bitcoin is not in there because Bitcoin is a competitor. All right. Now you can create the theme. Well, you can select from among 3 different themes. Is there a carbon? Janine, check and see if there is a carbon coin in the list. You might actually be able to, I don't see, no. So you can actually transfer your, my apologies. You can actually transfer your cryptocurrency between wallets and use a different wallet and use different currencies. So you have the ability to do that. But now we're on the piece of display theme. So you choose the way that you want your NFTs to be displayed. And Janine has currently selected padded, which means there's some white space around each of the NFTs, but you can choose any of those. So she's going to choose whichever one she wants to stick with. And then explicit and sensitive content. So this is meant to be able to create a way for just for people to avoid, let's say, explicit and sensitive content. So if it happens to be a nude, you're going to click, it's explicit or sensitive content. And that again is mainly for, if you think about parental rights to control what their children see or attempt to control what their children see. That's one of the things that you want to do, but she's not going to click that right now. And she's going to go ahead and click create. Now, remember, we're going through this whole thing and all we have so far is a collection. So we have not yet minted an NFT. We have created the collection. Okay, so now you can see the banner she created is up at the top. The logo is right there at the center. And then the featured image would be used when, looking at the collection from either your set of collections or from a, complete set of collections. So now we're going to go back over to the previous tab where she's going to create her NFT and scroll up, Janine. She's still got her logo there. So she's going to come down, and this time she's got Janine, you have to refresh, correct? If you look,
I've had to refresh every time.
Yeah. So if she goes to look for her collection, scroll down and try to look for your collection. She's not going to find it yet. She has to refresh so that OpenC refreshes to include the collection she just created. Now, what also happened when she refreshed is she lost her image. I find this to be a little kludgy for my taste. I feel like it shouldn't do this, but she lost her image, she lost her item name, so she's going to go back and put those in. Now you could just skip down to the collection creation, not put in anything for your NFT, and work that way so that you're not losing anything. We're doing it twice just so that we can demonstrate it a couple times. So now when she comes down, NiFTY tutorial February 3rd is her collection. She's going to grab that, and she can assign properties to her NFT. So she can, she can add properties such as, they're going to show up underneath, so she can add a character property. Did you want to add something? Or you don't have to? Okay. And she can add multiple properties. So it's our seal, our university seal, and the topic is education. Okay, so now you can see the properties there. She can add numerical traits. She can add statistics. So speed can be one, bits there she can use.
It's not letting me change these.
Isn't it?
It only lets me go to, oh, you know why?
Because you have to change that first.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. All right, so she's going to go ahead and save that. And unlockable content. That is content that can only be revealed by the owner of the NFT. So if you've tied something special to your NFT, you can give them access to it. So when you give them access, though, it has to be something that is referenceable. So a link, a code, an access key, something like that. But this allows you to give them content that says, hey, not only did you buy this NFT and now you own this space in the blockchain, but you can also have this other thing. And that happens a lot when people are encouraging others to purchase more than one NFT, right? So that upon selection of an NFT, they find out, oh boy, I got this thing, and that gives you additional value. Then again, for the NFT itself, you can specify explicit and sensitive content and the supply. So the number of copies that can be minted with no gas cost to you is 1 right now. So Janine is going to mint 1. And then she's going to go down. She's doing it on the Ethereum blockchain. She's going to click create. So she just created her NFT, and you'll notice that even though it was cut off when she dropped it, it's not cut off here. So go ahead and close this, Janine. And now you'll see, so your NFT, you can set a price for it if you want to do that. And of course, this is kind of a really awful version of our seal, but the price history will be there. You can edit all of the information in your NFT, but keep in mind that when you do, you are actually creating an entirely new NFT. That's why when you submit changes to it, it can take longer because you are waiting for the miners to come through and pull enough material together to mine another block in the blockchain. And that can take a few minutes. That can take a few seconds, or at a time of day when nobody's out there mining, which is, not really that gonna happen that much because people are mining all over the world. It might take longer. But if Janine wants to sell her NFT, she can go ahead and click on the sell button, and now she can add all of the information about pricing, and she can say how long it's going to be up. She can say whether it's an auction, whether it's a fixed price, and you'll see that there is a service fee attached here as well. So as soon as you start selling, that's when you're going to get the service fee. So stop on the I there for a second, Janine. So listing is free, but once you try to sell, that's when you come up with the fees that you have to deal with. So if Janine goes back to the blue ball at the top of the screen on the right and says My Collections. Go ahead and click on My Collections. This is where she's going to find her collections, and this is the collection that she just created. You can create additional collections from here, and that was one of the ways in which you could create a collection. You don't have to try to create an NFT first. You can create a collection from here, and if she wants to go in, go ahead and click on your collection. So now she's entered her collection again. All of this again is tied to you having your wallet open and you knowing your password, or, again, if you forget your password, making sure you have your recovery phrase. Soon as you lose your recovery phrase, all of this is lost. So if Janine would happen to not save that document and not have her recovery phrase, she would not be able to get back into either of these things, and literally would go out and create a new Coinbase wallet, because she would never be able to get access again to her Coinbase wallet or MetaMask. MetaMask is also a popular wallet to use. So at this point, does anybody have questions? I have some more things I want to talk to you about related to regulatory and environmental challenges associated with NFTs. But before I do that, I thought I'd stop and see if there was any questions.
I have a question. When you submit a digital asset and put it for sale as an NFT, does that mean you can't use that digital asset anywhere else, or you still can, but you just don't own it? You
can still use it if it's your asset, right? If it's a piece of your artwork, you've created one copy of it. You could create as many copies as you want, just like you can currently physically on paper create. We often see prints, right? Print 296 of 500. You can still do that. The idea behind the supply is that you could do that all at once. If you wanted to create a collection where you had 250 copies of a particular digital piece of artwork, you could create 250 copies all at once, or you still own it. You can create as many as you want to, keeping in mind that over time, and I'm not saying this to discourage anyone, but the more copies that are out there, the less value each individual copy will be, of course.
So for example, if you say I had a photograph and I sell it as an NFT and make only 5 copies of it as an NFT, could I still use that photograph for, say, clip art and sell it to like Shutterstock or like Overstock or other kinds of?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm just wondering how is it all regulated in the sense of, like, if you actually put up, what if you minted an NFT that's not your artwork, like that's someone else's intellectual property?
Right. So that's why I'm going to talk a little bit about regulation, because right now it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, it's when I say it's the Wild West, in many ways, it's the Wild West. Also, Maura has asked if the Coinbase wallet is the primary wallet for students to use in the competition. It is what they're going to be using. And it's because in the ratings for 2022, the Coinbase wallet was rated as the easiest to use. So it's the beginner wallet. So we are asking the students to use that. If an artist says, no, I want a MetaMask wallet, they can express that preference to the student team, and the students would use that, and we would assist them in making sure that we were able to set up that MetaMask wallet. And Sean asked, what other currencies are recommended for NFT transactions? So this is where it gets dicey, Sean, because again, lacking regulation, lacking central authority, lacking anything that guarantees the value of your cryptocurrency, you actually want to buy cryptocurrency that is sort of stable in the marketplace. And right now, Bitcoin and the ETH are the two most stable Bitcoins or cryptocurrencies in the market, with Bitcoin holding, what did I say last week? 45% of the market, and ETH another 15%, and then the remaining market is accumulated with a bunch of other providers. So it's about risk. There is a risk tolerance question at every moment when you're working with cryptocurrency. So they're more expensive to use. The gas fees are more expensive, but you have a greater probability of keeping your currency. And also, I would say, I mean, I don't know if you all have heard this, but recently there was a professional athlete who asked to take his salary in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin dropped substantially. So his salary actually dropped because of that. So that's kind of an unfortunate side effect of these cryptocurrencies and being sort of risky. OpenC does not publicize the NFT. You publicize the NFT. You advertise it yourself wherever you would like to advertise it. You might have a web page, you might use social media, but OpenC does not do any marketing for you. This is when we talk about the artworks that we're dealing with for this competition, that is where Angela would get involved with. They're looking at ways that they can actually put together a virtual gallery, which would be a way to promote your NFT is by placing it in a virtual gallery as well. So will the students create a collection with a single NFT, or can we have a collection started in which we would add to afterwards? Well, right now, because we're trying to keep the students standardized on their approach, they are going to create a collection with a single NFT. You can add to that collection, or you can decide you want to start a different collection, but they are going to set it up so that each artist is able to contribute to the collection as they want to. And the students are not going to make decisions about your logo and your banner and those kinds of things. They're going to use some standard images to put in there, and you can go in and replace those afterwards to make your collection look like you want it to look. All right.
And we're gonna transfer as well all of the passwords and everything. So you can then change the password that you were able to select yourself, and then you'll have the recovery password as well. Or you can then take what's in there and transfer it to a brand new thing if you were more comfortable with that.
Yep. All right. So
can I ask one quick question? If
Sure.
we were to add more images to that collection, do you then pay a gas fee?
As long as you add one copy of an image at a time, you can add as many images to that collection as you want to.
I see, but it would be if we were doing like an edition of 10 of the same image, that's when you start accruing those fees.
Right, if you create 10 at once, but if you create 10, if you use the same NFT, you use the same image, and you create 10 identical NFTs, you can do that for free.
So like if we went in, I could upload that same pixelated image 3 or 4 more times and go through that whole process 3 or 4 more times. It's not going to recognize, hey, you already uploaded this one. It's going to let me go through all of that again.
If you only want a few images, that works really well, right? But when we get to that collection of 500, that's kind of a, kind of a pain. All right, so regulatory issues associated with NFTs and the blockchain. It is not just NFTs. There is, because we have no central authority of any kind, that means that there is no central jurisdiction. And this is going to come up a few times in here. So the deal is that nobody knows right now who holds jurisdiction over a particular piece of a blockchain. That also means that we can't use them as trusted sources of identity in court. Okay, so legalities we're talking about, can you bring it to court and say, look, this is my blockchain entry, it's mine. Well, because there's no framework around it, there is no way to do that at this point. Also, now this is more of a European issue, but in Europe, whatever is posted about you on the internet, you have something that's called the right to be forgotten. So that means that whatever is posted can be unposted essentially. But when it is a blockchain and it's immutable as it is, you can't do that anymore. So one of the things is that they're considering could be replaced by to prohibit further use, right? You can replace it with something else. Also, there's a lack of legal framework to validate documents. There's a lack of validity to the financial instruments because there's nothing backing them. There's no regulators, there's no supervisors, there's no central oversight that would give you an ability to make them legally valid. Smart contracts, there's even bigger issues, right? Because not only are you looking at not having a clear idea of where the jurisdiction falls for where the smart contract is set. The question is, if you have two parties involved in a smart contract that are in two different countries, now you don't even know which country is the country that governs the contract. We also have these shared distributed ledgers for the Internet of Things. And I don't mean to bring in a whole nother concept here, but simply the Internet of Things has to do with items that are like just lost all the words. If you're a diabetic and you have an insulin detector, right, that is on the Internet of Things. If you can look at your sugar levels on your phone, that is on the Internet of Things. It's a thing that has a connection. So it's a cyber physical system, basically. Your thermostat at home, if you can control your thermostat via your phone, that's on the Internet of Things. It's a cyber physical system. So in creating the ledgers for the Internet of Things, this again creates an issue because there have to be valid regulatory registries, which then the blockchain does not currently have. So look for what's going to be going on with this. Now, it doesn't preclude anybody doing selling their artwork on the blockchain with the NFTs. It's just that you have to, again, know what the risks are of doing this. This is like speculation in stocks. You walk in knowing the risks and you choose to do it regardless of the risks. And you can minimize your risks by sort of being careful about things, but this is how it is. All right, so now I need to define two things for you. I need to define a proof of work system, and I need to define a proof of state system. And once we've defined those, we're going to be able to talk about what the environmental impacts are and how what we have to look to as being ways that we can handle it. So proof of work systems. Essentially what happens is people that want to work on the blockchain, people that want to mine, actually take part in these mathematical puzzles, and it's competitive. So whoever completes the mathematical puzzle first can mine. Okay, and so this is something that becomes more and more competitive, especially because Bitcoin has a limit on the number of Bitcoins that can be in circulation, becomes highly competitive. So that means that mining cryptocurrency, actually with that competition, means that if you have a bigger system than somebody else, you have an advantage in mining that currency. So again, these transactions are processed peer-to-peer in a secure manner without the need for a trusted third party. But it's important to know that we're using energy, right? Every time somebody's solving a mathematical puzzle, they're using energy, they're using hardware, they're using peripherals. A proof of stake system, that's when it has to do, so now their currency owners can block transactions based on the number of coins that a validator stakes. So I'm going to put up this much money to block somebody else's transactions. So think of it kind of as an auction. So the advantage of proof of stake over proof of work is that you don't end up using all of the hardware, software, and energy. So it's less risky in terms of attack from a network, and it structures compensation in a way that makes an attack less advantageous. So why did I tell you this? Well, I told you this because environmental issues are significant. The carbon footprint of power plants generating energy to mine cryptocurrency, okay? A single Bitcoin transaction was estimated to burn 2,292.5 kilowatt hours. That's enough to power a typical household for 78 days. Why does this matter? Because in the US, we use around 60% fossil fuels to generate our energy. So now we're using those fossil fuels, we're creating environmental issue with those fossil fuels. And when we have plants that are able to generate energy maybe more efficiently, we still have, and this is taking place actually in New York State right now, where there is a plant that is using water as a cooling mechanism, returning water back to its original source 30 to 50 degrees higher than normal temperatures. So now they're risking wildlife in addition to all of the other environmental impacts. Now consider just the physical electronic waste. Okay, we already replace our computers in some number of years, and that is electronic waste that has to be dealt with. But when we're looking at blockchain, it's actually encouraging more upgrading of equipment, again, because of the need to solve these puzzles, the need to have more power to be able to get into the, to mine your Bitcoin. So right now, the estimate is it's producing up to 30,000 tons of electronic waste every year in order to support improvements on the blockchain. So if the cryptocurrencies move from the POW to the POS, right? Proof of stake, proof of work versus proof of stake, it will actually substantially reduce the power necessary to mine cryptocurrency. And there's also in development are proof of history, proof of elapsed time, proof of burn, proof of capacity. All of these are being added with the intent of minimizing or at least deleting some of the environmental impact that we face. Also, there is a crypto climate accord that has a stated goal of running all blockchains on entirely renewable energy by 2025. So the blockchain is contributing to environmental issues, but happily, there's also organizations that are working to counteract that impact. And one of the things I also mentioned last week is that some organizations know that they're contributing to environmental issues on one hand and are trying to do things to offset so that maybe they become a carbon neutral company, even though they're doing all of this, right? So they look for ways to become carbon neutral so that they're mitigating their impact on the environment with blockchain. And so I wanted to just show you sales of art NFTs, substantial. We're looking at primary sales in the lighter blue and secondary sales in the darker blue. So you can see secondary sales are a very big deal. And then I did actually last week talk about some of the NFT statistics. The most expensive NFT that has sold for almost $92 million. Beeple's first physical work sold for nearly 30 million. NFT trading volume added up to nearly 11 billion in Q3 of last year. People from China and Singapore are most interested in NFTs. The most expensive NFT videos sold for almost 7 million, meme for 4 million, and the majority of NFTs, this is the tricky thing. So there's a lot of upside, but the majority of NFTs sell for less than $200. And each day, thousands of NFT sales are made. And the dollar amount is millions per week. So, any other questions or comments or things that you want to share? I know we had a few people last week that actually had some really interesting things to share. We have a little bit of time to do that.
Yeah, Ginny, there's a few questions in the chat, actually. I guess I'll just start from the bottom. Will the slide deck be made available?
Yes, yes, I will. So yes, I will be sending this to Angela as soon as we close out today, and she will be able to make it available with the recording.
Okay, and then I think there were two questions that seem to be kind of related. One was already answered. So Andrea was asking, the individual minting one by one of 10 images costs more, and does it cost more environmentally than launching one edition with multiple copies and then paying the gas fee? And then there was a second follow-up question, which was, is there a way to gauge the carbon cost of minting an NFT? Is it the size of the image? Is it the quantity? How do we gauge that?
It is, so what it's related to is the energy used by the people who are trying to mine for you. Okay, so it has to do with these mathematical puzzles. I keep coming to mind with this. There was a Big Bang Theory episode a bunch of years ago where the guys had minted NFTs and they lost their Bitcoin, or not minted NFTs, they mined cryptocurrency and they lost their Bitcoins. But when they talked about it, they talked about spending hours and hours and days to solve the puzzles. They're not easy puzzles. So it's the energy used for all those miners who are competing to mine at the same time. So your single NFT is creating this impact where multiple people are mining to try to get that cryptocurrency, essentially, to place these things on the blockchain. So as a result, what you are doing, if you mint multiple copies of the same one, you are using less of their time because they're only minting one with multiple copies, right? So yes, from an environmental perspective, if you mint one and mint 10 copies of it, it is actually cheaper than minting 10 single copies. I feel like there was another part to that question that I just forgot. Oh, well, no, I guess I saw somebody that was asking about proof of stake. So proof of stake is different because it's not using computer resources to solve puzzles. It's literally saying, I have more ETH than you have, and so I can block you. So it's almost like if you think about an auction when you're bidding and somebody bids 10 and you bid 11 and you've blocked them from getting that item, that's essentially what proof of stake is doing. The more ETH you have, the more you can block.
And then there was another question. If someone wanted to create an NFT that was a file that was larger than 100 megs, like for example, a video clip, what were the minting options that would be available?
That's a great question, and I am sorry to say I don't know the answer. That's a pretty big file, though.
And then I think the only other one we didn't touch on yet was the last one here. So are pseudonyms a good idea? For example, not using your real name, what might be some advantages or disadvantages to that?
So you're listening to a very risk-averse person. Okay, when I didn't ever post pictures of my kids anywhere because I feel like there are ways for anybody who wants to get information to get it. Now, having said that, with the blockchain, the security on the blockchain is much more significant than any security we see on the internet anywhere. And my understanding is that if you associate your real name with your NFTs on the blockchain, it is protected unless you market it. So my impression from everything I've learned is you don't have to be that careful about it. And so I wanted to give you the perspective. I'm risk averse and I'm still okay with using my name and not a pseudonym. Especially because, I've already lost half of my NFTs that I've created because I lost my first 12-word recovery phase.
I have a quick question just about NFT use. And maybe it's just kind of like sometimes I have trouble getting my head around exactly how these kind of how the NFTs function, just like kind of in the wild, so to speak. you've got this encrypted, I understand conceptually this encrypted kind of item in the blockchain that has this uniqueness. But I don't really understand. I mean, if you could basically take a screenshot of this image and have something, sometimes I'm a little confused about how that works. I don't really get it.
I get your question, Marina, because I think it took 3 months of me actively working on this to settle in on this making any sense to me. The person who clips an image doesn't own it. They don't have the right to sell it. They have just an image they took from the internet. Now, that is not to say they couldn't clip an image from the internet and try to create an NFT and then try to sell it, at which point now you have the question of authentic versus inauthentic pieces of work that are out there. But it's very much like anybody that even counterfeit money, right? Somebody is going to try to make counterfeit money and pass it off as real money. So that risk exists. But the essential difference is you own that space in memory, and you can sell that space in memory, and you can continue to profit from that space in memory because that chain of ownership is maintained in the blockchain, and you continue to get whatever your royalty is from it. So it's a very kind of fine distinction in some ways because of what people could do if they wanted to counterfeit your art, for example. But that's the essential nature of it.
I think it just is. I think it's probably hard to get one's head around because without the regulation, it's like, does that authenticity really exist? It does exist conceptually, but does it exist if I took a screenshot and then made another NFT that looks the same, but I realize it's not the same? I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it all out.
So Marina, one of the things that, because we have this chain, it's actually, people can actually check the sort of provenance, right? They can look at your NFT and they can trace it back to you. So there is no regulation, but on the other hand, the security allows them to actually find out what the ownership chain was so that they can determine whether it is authentically yours.
Gotcha. I think I get that. I'll keep it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the provenance of a piece of artwork as retained by galleries, right? If a piece of artwork was stolen, a gallery is yeah, there, Andrea said provenance. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's just hard to talk about it has provenance, but then if you had I don't know, there's a lot going on. It's complicated.
It is complicated. And there is, there is risk, there is reward. So it's all a question of what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, it's probably ultimately just that things that can be reproducible, like graphics, kind of are slippery in this way anyway. So it's interesting that there's even this trying to kind of create this provenance over those kind of works, So anyways, thank you so much.
Sure. All right. And Joe says, if one can digitally reproduce a picture, then what is the value of the digital copy and why the value? I think I need a little more help with that. So you're saying like a photo that was taken and putting a digital image to an NFT, or are you talking about something different? Yes. Okay. So, the value is, it's like any piece of artwork. The value is in the sort of hands of the beholder. If they think your digital copy has value, and other people think your digital copy has value, then it has value. It is a very crowdsourced way of looking at things. So if you put an NFT out there, and I go back to like the Bored Apes and the CryptoPunks, I don't like them. I find them like there's nothing artistically appealing about them in any way, but somebody said they have value. And because somebody said they have value, somebody else said, wait a minute, that thing has value. So it really is just a crowd mentality that assigns the value. And again, what if tomorrow somebody says, no, Bored Apes are stupid and they have no value? The value of Bored Apes, if somebody with, cred, with blockchain cred, says Bored Apes are a thing of the past, they have no value, they can just, the bottom can drop out of Bored Apes because somebody said it. So it's again, unlike, at least with stocks, if we're buying stock in a company that produces something real, we know that the value is guaranteed by the fact that they're producing something real. With NFTs, we don't.
We had one more question that actually came in privately, but I wanted to get your thoughts on this. How saturated do you think the NFT market is right now?
I think the NFT market is only begun. I think it's going to blow up. It is. If you talk to 5 people and ask them if they know what an NFT is, I can tell you the 5 people that I would run into in any given day are all going to say no. So the market is going to blow up. The question is, will regulations support it? Will there be some way that currencies somehow get supported? Will there be some way that legalities are worked out so that your ownership is defensible? There's a lot that goes on around it. But right now, we've really just seen the beginning.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ginny. That was another amazing presentation. And thank you everyone for coming tonight. Thank you, Janine, for being here. And we'll keep you guys posted with more information about our digital exhibition. So stay tuned for all that. And I look forward to seeing all of your work in the competition.
And there are a couple questions that came in. If you want to just save those, Janine and I can address them after the fact. I know we have a hard stop at 6 and I don't want to mess with that.